I have Christian Hey, who is very high up in GS1, has been for years, and has been a member of this project from the beginning. So without further ado.
Thank you, Peter. I'm not so high at GS1, don't worry, I'm just on the stage here, 50 centimeters. My purpose is to bring you up through a presentation which comes hopefully on the screen, to explain what is UNICOM about. And to explain you what is UNICOM about from my place, that requires you to know that I'm not born with standards, but I've grown with standards for something like 30 years. Let's try if that works. Monsieur, vous pouvez mettre ma présentation derrière, s'il vous plaît. I don't know if he hears. Yes, here we are. Merci. So I'm grown with standards, as I said, and I'm very allergic to the competition, to the standards, which is, as you certainly know, ignorance. So this is not very well working, actually. My purpose now is to walk you through this a couple of points. UNICOM, it's about medication, as said Peter. It's about medicinal product in my language, and you will understand there is a small semantic difference between the both, and I'm going to explain you that along my presentation. Yeah, I confirm it's not so easy to click. The challenge. We are working for a long time with medicinal products, which, as you know, are registered to get a marketing authorization. And actually, why we do that, it's because of safety. And at the end, we are monitoring the market with so-called pharmacovigilance to understand what happens and take action to prevent the repetition of mishappenings. So pharmacovigilance is one of the issues. And as you can read here, pharmacovigilance is difficult when we look at the globe. Because we don't give the same name of the products, or knowingly in Greece, they write a bit differently to Switzerland, for instance. If I have a Greek product in hands, I have difficulties to understand what it is. And when I report possibly an adverse event, I have also difficulties to explain what it is, etc. We have also the good friends, the exact identical medicinal product, but we have some which are not totally identical. This is also a challenge. Marcello was mentioning Ipsos, which was about cross-border prescription. We had another project, Open Medicine, which was also about cross-border prescription for Europe, because we are a mosaic of countries. And I say we because Switzerland is in the middle, as you know. We are a mosaic of countries. We have difficulties to understand what happens when a prescription crosses the border. So how do we do that? And that's a special issue. More generally about decision support, we have difficulties. This software should be more international rather than just local. And the pandemic has taught us that sometimes we are facing shortage, and that's a big issue. Regarding pharmacovigilance, I have just grouped here 2 slides from the WHO Competence Center in Uppsala. They are working worldwide with pharmacovigilance. On the left, you see how the announcement come there about an issue, a health issue with a medicinal product, and you see in 72%, the name of the product is given. And as I said before, the Greek name is not the same as the Swiss name, which is not the same as the French. And if you just look at aspirin, the name is not the same in France and in Germany because there is a 1-letter difference. So on a computer point of view, it's not the same name. So really, we have an issue regarding the name of the product, and that will require a lot of intelligence at WHO, UMC, as we say, to understand what is identical or not. But as I'm coming from GS1, I'm also very interested in the batch number, the lot number. And you see in the 5 years report 2012-2017, 78% of the announcements had no batch number. And that's not also helping, because if you don't know which batch it was, then you can just say it was this medicinal product, but it may be just a batch which has a problem. And that is also something weakened, I would say, the pharmacovigilance. Another learning from the recent years, that's the slide on the right, but on the left you see we have terminologies issues. What is a so-called pharmaceutical dose form? We have several organizations delivering the name of a dose form, and if we would use only one, that would certainly simplify, but the slide on the right has taught us that it is even not simple if we are using one single way. That is about one of the COVID vaccine, the one from Pfizer. And you see in the US, in UK, and in Europe, we have 3 different pharmaceutical dose form name for it. And it was exactly the same product, as you certainly remember. They were shipped from, I don't know where, but globally manufactured. So that is an issue, really, when we consider pharmacovigilance. Voila, what is IDMP? IDMP is a long story, and I will make it short, as would say my friend Derek. It started 20 years ago, about when ICH saw the grouping of medicinal product manufacturers and regulators which are working together to improve medication safety in general. They noted that they had an issue regarding what I said, pharmacovigilance and definitions of identification for medicinal product. They started to work on this, but they were facing a problem because ICH is working with unanimity and not majority decisions, so they decided to shift that to this free group of organization. And then it went on along the years, and we are still working on improving IDMP, but I wanted just to show that at some point the association, ICH, passed the baby to a group of organizations, and that has also been mentioned before. The joint initiative umbrella was very useful in the beginning to make this work. IDMP. This is the wedding cake, you know. When I was elected chair of the ISO working group developing this, I said, well, I am unable to explain you that. I have a education as a lawyer, so I don't understand pharmacy, chemicals, and IT, nothing. But I can understand the picture and explain the picture, and I can speak very long with the picture. So we decided this picture. You see, we have 5 standards, 4 specifications, the small folders around, plus 1, which is on the far right. All that is the kind of an ecosystem, and actually that is a very nice theory. And we needed to have implementable solutions and tools, and that is where also HL7 has played a growing role over the time. We started with version 3, and now we are on FIRE, and we at ISO are working now on the logical model, which we saw on the previous slide. I think the tool was missing, and we hope with that to keep consistency. But we don't have only IDMP from the regulatory side. We have actually a grid of processes which are standardized. You see that's a little bit here. We have from the regulatory, from the pharmacovigilance, we have the clinical decision support, the prescription, the dispensation, all these things which have been developed at the conceptual levels to facilitate global implementation of IDMP. Voilà. And now IDMP is still theory, and we have this UNICOM project, and this is what I'm going to speak about from now. For UNICOM, we had difficulties to understand, where we play until we worked on a gap analysis, and the requirements for a logical model. That was part of the so-called work package 1, where standard development organization meets. And to have this illustrated understanding, remember, I prefer illustration, we drawn this kind of a life cycle for the medicinal product. So on the left, you see the developments, the regulatory side, etc. In the middle, if nobody knows about that product, it will never be prescribed. So we need something like a distribution center for information. That's dissemination and information. You will find medicinal product dictionaries. You will find clinical decision support in this space. Then, of course, prescription dispensation. And at the far ends on the right, what happens with this product? It can be pharmacovigilance, of course, but also shortage, pharmacoepidemiologies, and so forth. So we have the full, and that is covered by UNICOM. We have 13 work packages, and please don't read that. So the first one is about standards, but the following ones are about, I would say, the regulatory space. Remember my graphical representation of the life cycle. So we have, especially on substances, the need to unify the definition and the identification of substances. And we do that at European Union level, so outside Switzerland. And then there is another stream to have it global. So there is a collaboration with the US to have something in common, and that collaboration will then be open, or is being open to exotic countries such as Canada or Switzerland, by the way. That's for substances, and the rest two next are really European. It's a way how to communicate information about this medicinal product with the regulator, between the regulator, and to help coach the implementation of IDMP at the regulator level. The following work packages, I'm going to say also a few words after about them, but it's about the use of this information. So it can be in the adoption for medicinal product dictionaries. It is about prescription and related activities, also e-health, of course. And I skip the rest, socioeconomic impact and so on. I suppose that's not very interesting for us today. Click. In UNICOM, we have a lot of stakeholders, 49. It's a 4.5-year project. It is relatively wealthy, doted with something like 20 million, if I'm not mistaken. So you see, I didn't list all the names because it would be also boring for you to look at, but we have database provider, e-health DSI, where you see Italian organization, but also an Austrian and a Dutch. And I skip a bit the rest. You see the national competent authorities, which was really a challenge because they are actually validating the medicinal product information. So they are very on the left of my life cycle. We have 13 of them, such as Spain, Germany, Austria, Sweden. Then we have special organizations, certainly COSIR, who was one of the founder of IHE, and we have Citadel and ETEL as an example. Research institutes and standard development organization, and I'm GS1, so I can say GS1. It's not written, but we are in, of course. So what are we delivering at UNICOM? We have a large list of deliverables. A deliverable is a report, can be a demonstration tool, and so forth, which has been a part of the submission. We said, oh, we are going to deliver this and that. And you see that on the left pillar. In the middle, you have what has been delivered by the end of 2021, in numbers, I mean, and the 30 are the ones which are currently in process. And then we have still something like 2 years to go, not exactly 2 years to go, for the rest of the deliverables. But we are, I would say, very well advanced in our progresses. And now I selected a few work packages to give you a flavor of what happens. So this is one involving national competent authorities, so national Food and Drug Administration, for those who are not familiar with the term. And you see they have developed, or they are developing, a tool to communicate information between manufacturer and regulator, and between regulator. That is a so-called DADI project. And we see here the timelines, and I must say it is a moving target. If you have a bath and you have the soap falling in the bathroom, that's exactly DADI, so you can no more fix it. I thought I will take my retirement before the end of this project. It will never end, I suppose, so I have to retire anyway at some point. But this is illustrating where we are in this space of communication. Then I choose the fifth work package. So regarding e-health services, and you can read here a couple of achievements which have been made. And I think it is also remarkable because that is partly bridging this UNICOM project with others. And it's something important that these projects are linked together. Here we are. The sixth work package, it's about, as you can read, software, so applications, etc. And also here, good cooperation with other organizations have been supporting the achievements, and I mean, this is all very encouraging. And the last work package I selected for you is this one, regarding the cross-border e-health services. And you see a long list here of what has been achieved, what has been done. This is one of the work packages where Marcello Melgara is involved in, and here, because his personality is able to bridge that with others, other organizations, structures where he's engaged in. And this is also part of the success of UNICOM, bridging. Oh, I forgot that one. Medicinal product dictionary. So the dissemination, we are also making progress in this space, and that will be an enabler for more testing at some point. Now about UNICOM and IHE, that's an interesting story because everybody knows IHE in this room, but I can tell you some in UNICOM don't know IHE, and that is my problem. Oh my God, that's my problem. But so possibly you should change the batteries after, yeah, because I suppose. Here we are. We have organized tomorrow a so-called UNICOM Day at IHE, and the purpose is to raise awareness on the left side of my life cycle. So the manufacturers and the regulator, both have no clue about what IHE is providing. We heard this morning a number of things already about conformance testing, you know, being sure that information sent out has been received well, etc. So this is our purpose for this UNICOM Day, which will take place tomorrow. I don't know, honestly, how many people will come, but we will repeat that next year because it's difficult to attract people to come to see something which they don't know at all. But probably they will come next year. You should count out the bottom time from my time because that's not null. Yeah, but now it's even better. Well, I'm coming by chance to the end. You see, that's very encouraging. For UNICOM, we are at the midterm, more or less. So we need to continue to work. And I think the interesting thing was, because of that pandemic, we didn't meet so much. We had the first meeting in 2020, just before the pandemic, and the second physical meeting was 2 weeks ago. And we noticed that there is a real team spirit. It's quite interesting, especially with these categories of players, stakeholders, who were not used to be together in this kind of a setting. So team spirit is done. And the common understanding, which engages also national competent authorities, but also European Medicine Agency, is that everybody understands the problem is about data. And the source of the data is on the left side of my life cycle. This very early source is the manufacturer. The second source is the one who validates these data. Are these correct? And that has to be sent out and distributed and used properly until the end of the life cycle. So medicinal product data and their interoperability is really key. And of course, I did summarize much by saying all that. Now, if you have questions, I'm ready.
Can I add a word on what you say? Just one word?
One? Yes. I would say, thank you. That's one word.
No, but it's very quick. What has been explained here is relevant for IHE, meaning the assets described are already ready in here DSI, and Gazelle has already the testing tool to test these IDMP profiles.
Well done. There was a question.
You mentioned data is the problem or the symptom?
Is data the problem or the symptom?
The lack of data or the quality.
The symptom, the problem with data, no. Data as a symptom was the trigger for IDMP. And now we are curing this by providing a solution. So I would say the intellectual solution has been provided already a couple of years ago, not so long, but a couple of years ago. And now we are operating the patients, and we are changing the tubes so that the data flow correctly, unchanged from the source to the end use. In that sense, if you want to make a comparison with the human body, that would be the pipe to the heart. So we are there.
Thank you, Christian.